What is the dumbest lie you told that became true? Sorry, I can't go tomorrow. I'm sick. Got sick the same night. I mean, sometimes that's just your body knowing before your mind does. At the end of first grade, for some reason I told my friends I was moving and wouldn't be back next year. No idea what my reasoning was. Later that night a bunch of shit went down with my now ex, stepdad and my mom, and I ended up moving states the next day. I told my 9th grade music teacher that I played the flute. I was sitting in my first day of advanced music class. Then I thought, F this shit. I'm not gonna carry this big ass trombone around. So I said flute. Then I had to buy one. Parents weren't happy about the uninformed swap to a brand new instrument, but I stuck through it, and not only did I pass the course with a good grade, I ended up playing flute in a marching band for a few years. When Transformers 1 came out, me and my brother loved it. Then Transformers 2 was announced, and without seeing anything or knowing anything, I told him Megatron would come back and was revived. Completely lied. Go to see the movie with my brother and dad and uncle. Ding ding ding, Megatron revival. Before seeing Captain Marvel, I jokingly said the Cat and Nick Fury are a couple in this movie. That's actually how he loses his eye. I had said this thinking it was just so far-fetched and stupid that it couldn't possibly be true. Whoops. I had to write a research paper, but obviously I hadn't finished it on time. So I just randomly generated some letters and numbers into a Word document and sent it to the teacher. Even the school's IT guy told me that it was just bad luck and my file just got corrupted. In 5th grade, I didn't feel like running the mile in PE, so I told the teacher I felt sick. She knew I was full of it, but she let me go to the nurse anyway. I figured I'd just lie down for the period and get sent back to class. Nurse took my temperature and it read 102, so school policy stated I had to be sent home. Got the rest of the day off to lie in bed and watch Disney Channel. How is it possible to not realize you are sick when your temperature is 102? I told some people at my college that my nickname was Rockin', first name. They put it in the registry and a bunch of staff started calling me that when I checked into events or whatever, and so soon everyone called me that. I gave myself a nickname and it stuck. I hope your first name is Roland. Now I heard it's around the Christmas tree. I was probably about 7 and on vacation with my family, and they weren't paying any attention to me and constantly interrupting me. They were talking about someone they knew who had cows, so in annoyance I point in an arbitrary direction and yell, "Hey, a cow," and they all go silent. Then I hear my dad say, "Oh my god, you're right," just as the skinniest cow emerges from behind some foliage. All hail you / arbiter female, the emaciated cow summoner. When I was in reception, or kindergarten for those not in the UK, I went around telling everyone that I was a hairdresser for some reason, specifically insisting that I cut and styled my own hair. Obviously no one believed me, so I proceeded to cut my entire ponytail off from just behind the barbel, leaving me with a bald patch and a sort of horseshoe style gradient of hair length around it. When I was 12, I had geography teacher I really hated, even had the surname of Grief, and lived up to it in its entirety. Wednesdays I had geography as my first lesson of the day, and I woke up one morning and decided that I really didn't want to go to school that day. I massively played up a really small stomachache I had, and surprisingly my dad, who usually never bought my bullshit, took me seriously, and we went to the doctor's surgery. After being examined by the doctor, he told me that I had an inflamed appendix and that it actually looked quite serious. I was as surprised as effing anybody, and 6 hours later I was in hospital having it removed. I used to work at Walmart and would always be the first choice to fill in for the cart pushers when they called out. One day when we had heavy rain, I wrapped my hand up with a bandage thing and told the managers that I injured my hand, so I could not push carts. Of course the cart pushers were all sick on the day we had heavy rain. 45 minutes into my shift I actually injured my hand. Took like 2 weeks to heal. I was 7 at the time. I was at my friend's house and she said, "My dad is stronger than yours. He makes my mom shout when they wrestle." I just said, "My dad is a Hulk. He smashes my mom every night." I then proceeded to say, Hulk smash. The next day my friend had a sleepover at my house. We heard my mom's bed crash and break. We went to see what happened. We entered their room and they both covered up quickly with the sheets on the floor by the broken bed. When I was in high school I didn't want to go to a class, so I ditched it and hung out on the bleachers by P.E. Since the freshman football coach would have kids just play flag football, and I was on the varsity team at the time. I told my mom I was the tar for that class instead, and when the school called about my absences from the class I was ditching, I insisted I had been going to PE, and when she told the school they ended up switching me into the class as the tar. The teacher, who obviously didn't give a shit, was giving me an A in the class, and one day towards the end of the semester he asked me what I was doing there every day anyway and what class I was supposed to be in. I told him something like I somehow talked myself into this class a few weeks in. You're giving me an A though, and he just sort of chuckled and said okay. He said I could be a ringer for the girl team as they went into the playoffs or just chill. Played one game, the girls were jerks, went back to the bleachers. Kept my A. When I was 11 I pretended to be gay because I didn't like a girl back. God, if I wasn't in for a surprise a few years later. Total commitment to the lie. Beautiful. Not the dumbest, but quite silly and funny. Several years ago we were in Skype conference call with friends, and in the middle of conversation we suddenly heard some noises. I jokingly asked, "Did you fell off your chair?" And everyone laughed. Then we hear some more noises and a friend's muffled voice, "Guys, wait a minute, I fell off my chair." Needless to say we laughed to stomach pain. We were around 16. Huh. Good times. 4 AM. On mobile. You'll know the drill. Edit to say I was 4 to 6 years old. My father has glasses. I wanted glasses. Because I wanted glasses so bad, I started to pretend I couldn't see correctly. I would complain that I could never see the board correctly, or when I read books the words seemed weird. I must have been extremely convincing, because my mother eventually took me to the eye doctor. Oh no, I thought. What happens when they find out I can actually see correctly? Well, we go back, and he takes a look behind my eyes with some medical voodoo. This was like 19 years ago, and he actually finds some weird spots back there. I then had to do the normal eye test, and since I thought the jig was up, I actually tried. I failed. I left that day with a lens prescription and 2 years worth of eye drops. My grandma died. But if you don't tell anyone at a job you can use grandma dying as a get out of work free excuse. My grandma has been dead since 2005. She's died a few more times in the past 14 years. I used to lie about video games as a kid. Yeah, I was that kid. But my best lie was about the secret world in Mario. I was desperate for attention, and I knew that being the keeper of secret Nintendo lore had a good shot at working, so I started fibbing, and didn't stop until I'd backed myself into an unprovable corner. I said that you had to go to the underground level and enter the pipe special, then you'd go to a whole new world, one that didn't even have the usual numbers or anything. And it was the only Mario level that was infinite. You could just play it forever and ever, just as much Mario as you could want. At first, I was listened to, it sounds cool, then I was vilified, an obvious lie, and then a kid came to school claiming he'd find my secret world. I didn't believe him to start, because, obviously, I lied about it. I know there's no secret level. But it turns out that, if you jump into the pipe wall at the end of 122 while crouched, you can slide through the wall to the warp zone. And if you hop into a pipe before it loads, the game glitches and sends you to world -1. This is a water level that has no exit, and you swim forever, or at least until you run out of air and die. Suddenly, I was a hero and the keeper of secret Nintendo lore, but thankfully I had a subscription to Nintendo Power by then, so all the secrets I told from then on were legit. In high school, my friend and I went door to door collecting money for a skate park. At least that is what we told the adults who we were collecting from. We actually used the money to buy beer. A few months later they started building a skate park. That's just fraud. No, Mom, I won't ever drink, smoke or do drugs. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.